everyone, in today's video we are going to be doing a comparison with all my prime lenses on a crop frame camera. So today I have the Canon 7D Mark II and we're going to be using the 24, the 35, the 50, 85 and 135 and showing you guys comparison photos with a few different tests so you can see what the difference is between each focal length. So if this sounds a bit like deja vu, it's because I have already done this video on a full frame camera, the Canon 5D Mark IV. So if you guys would like to go and watch that video, I'll leave it linked down below. But today I wanted to focus on a crop frame camera. So the first test we're going to do is taking a photo with the model and myself standing in the exact same spot for every single lens. Since I've already done this video on full frame, we're going to focus on getting the right compositions in the crop frame, but I am also going to be taking the same photos on a full frame camera so you can see also the crop difference that a crop sensor makes. By the way, I didn't mention this last time, but I'm shooting all the photos at f2, and that's only the widest open for the 135. So I'll probably take like 4 or 5 shots for each lens. The first lens we're using is the Sigma 24mm 1.4. We took 5 photos on each camera and all of them back focused on both the 7D and the 5D, so it looks like it needs another calibration. The next lens in the lineup is the Canon 35mm f1.4 Mark II. Sweet. The first photo we're seeing is the crop frame camera, then afterwards a side-by-side comparison to full frame taken from the exact same spot as the crop sensor.
Now this one. Perfect.
Then we are also using the Canon 50mm f1.2. Next up we have the Canon 85mm f1.2.
Nice. Okay.
And last but not least, we are using the Canon 135mm f2 lens.
Perfect.
Here is our final photo comparison of what each focal length looks like on a crop frame side by side when both the model and photographer are standing in one spot. So for the next test, I'm going to ask Mahalia to stand in one spot and I'm going to move around to get her to fill the frame in a portrait-orientated full frame composition. So we're going to get her head to toe in each of the shots to see all the differences.
Now I'm going to stand in the same spot and put the 24 on the full frame so we can see the difference.
I've already gone ahead and edited all these photos so they would be easier to compare side by side. I used my Aspen Lightroom preset, which I love using when I'm after a vibrant and natural look to my photos. I'll leave a link for Aspen in the description if you're interested in checking it out.
Now we're going to do full body on the 50.
Out of these full body tests, my favorite focal lengths on crop frame were the 35 and 50mm. On the 7D Mark II, the 35mm gives you a field of view of 56mm and the 50 gives you a field of view of 80mm. I love what the compression and bokeh looks like in both these shots. The bokeh is still quite defined and not too washed out in the background compared to the 85 and 135mm shots.
You guys, this is getting so confusing. It's going to be a miracle if we have all the comparison photos and I haven't missed out on any. Just apologizing in advance.
Again, just as a reminder, the full frame photo we're seeing side by side was shot in the exact same spot as the crop frame photo, so we can see the crop factor of the 7D Mark II, which is 1.6 times.
And last lens. So to get a full body shot on the 135 in the crop frame, I need to be like on the other side of the road, I think. Yeah, just there. Okay, this is the full body one.
Here are all the full body shots on the crop sensor side by side for you to take a look at. Again, my favorites are the 35 and 50. The next shot that we're going to do is a landscape orientation mid-frame portrait. So again, I'm going to be moving around and asking Mahalia to stand in one spot. I'm going to fill the frame as much as I can with each of these compositions. On the 7D2, the 24 gives you a field of view of 38mm. If you guys haven't watched it yet, I did make a video comparing full frame to crop frame cameras, showing you the differences as well as a test about which lenses to use to get a similar look to a full frame camera. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to watch. The 135mm gives you a field of view of 216mm on this crop camera, and personally I'm not really liking what it looks like for the full body shots and the mid-length shots as well. The background is too blurred out for my taste, to the point where there isn't a lot of detail left in the bokeh compared to the other focal lengths, and not to mention that I have to stand way too far away from my model to be able to get a photo. Last but not least, we are going to do extreme close-up headshots as much as we can on each lens anyway. I'm going to get in as close as possible and try and fill the frame only with her face, and again, see what each of these focal lengths look like side by side.
Okay, and then the last one is like a headshot. So I gotta be really close up for this one.
Last but not least, we have our close-up portraits. Since we are standing so close to our model, we can really see the full effects of distortion from each lens. With the 24, you can see quite a lot of distortion in the crop and full frame photo.
And then a close-up on this one as well.
By the 35mm shot, you can see a lot of distortion in the full frame, but not so much in the crop.
I have to take a couple extra on this one.
With the 50, there is a small amount of distortion in the full frame, and the crop frame doesn't really have any visible distortion. Then by the 85 and 135mm, neither body has any visible distortion in the portraits.
Yeah.
I'll bring up all the side-by-side comparisons in a second so you guys can see. In this case, my absolute favorite focal length on crop frame is the 50mm, which isn't a surprise since my favorite lens for these kinds of close-ups on full frame is the 85. I think it looks like such a flattering portrait lens. A close second favorite would be the 85mm on crop, which on the 7D2 gives you a field of view of 136mm. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments. So that is all we have for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing these comparisons and that you found them helpful if you're trying to decide what lens to go for but you're not really sure. Hopefully this gives you a clear indication of what each focal length looks like with prime lenses. I'd love to hear all your thoughts down below, which lenses were your favorites or which ones you didn't like quite so much. For me, as I mentioned before, the 35 and the 85 is my favorite combination of lenses. I think they both look so beautiful together. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that as well. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single Wednesday, so I will see you guys all next time. Bye. It's a super professional lens changing technique that I've got going on here today.
It's the wedding technique.
Yeah, it really is.